You have a nice video.
Yeah, we have a nice little clip that I want to watch. This story really shocked me, especially the clip, which we'll get into in a moment. But over the weekend, news broke that the Liberal cabinet would be requiring MPs to take an oath of secrecy as a condition of seeing their $5 billion contracts that they signed with various COVID vax manufacturers. So before we get into that clip, I just want your personal perspective as a individual that has sat in these cabinet meetings, that has acted on behalf of Canadians. Is it normal to have these kind of oaths of secrecy?
No.
To sit on a committee?
No, I never seen that. It is not normal. When you're a member of parliament, you are working for your constituent, for the country, for the people of your country, and everything must be open. I said to people who were working with me when I was a cabinet minister, everything that you're doing in this office, it's like working in a office with windows everywhere. Everybody is seeing what you're doing, and it's okay. It must be transparent.
Yeah.
Legislation, the parliament, the debates, it's all there to be transparent. What the government is telling you and telling members of parliament right now, you will have a right to look at the contracts, but you won't be able to speak about it. No, we need to know. Canadians need to know. And if I were, they are going to sit there, no, I don't want to participate in that. I want to be sure. And what you can do also, you have a privilege when you are a member of parliament, when you are in parliament, in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
So, if one member of parliament has the courage of his conviction, he can go and look at the document. And after that, in the House, because he has a privilege, he can speak about what he saw, what he read in that. And they must do that. All that must be public.
It's just bizarre. Just a completely non-standard practice. So what do you think? Why do you think they could be making this a requirement? Like what are they hiding behind
I
these?
believe let's look at the video and maybe we'll have a couple of ideas, because that MP was telling the truth when he asked that question about these contracts.
Yeah. So
they have something to hide for sure.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Here's Anthony Housefather. He's a Liberal MP from Montreal, and he's sitting on the procurements committee.
Much more redactions, as my colleague said, in these documents than in other documents. It's because these documents were signed at the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody was desperate for vaccines, when companies were being told to rush vaccine production, do testing in an unprecedented way, in a way they normally don't do it. So these companies were exposed to way higher liability, putting their products on the market than they normally would, because they didn't do the type of testing that normally takes these drugs years to come to market. They did it all in less than a year. So that's why these companies said, if I'm going to deliver you this product that I haven't tested in my normal way, I want to have different conditions.
I'm just flabbergasted by that clip.
So what he's saying what we said in the beginning of that pandemic.
Yeah.
First, he said we asked them to rush and find a vaccine for COVID-19. I didn't ask anybody to rush to find a vaccine, because we knew at that time that we had other treatment for COVID-19. So these other treatment, this government and other government decided, no, we cannot have another treatment against COVID-19, because like that, we won't be able to approve these vaccines under the emergency approval. So we had other way to be able to treat COVID-19 in the beginning of that pandemic, and that was not only the case for the vaccine. So they rushed that first, and after that they said we rushed it, and because we didn't have time to do the testing. So we were saying in the beginning of the pandemic that was an experimental vaccine, and so we're saying the same thing, that was experimental. We didn't do all the tests. And so what was the language and the narrative at that time? Safe and effective. When I was saying that the vaccine was experimental and maybe risky, and everybody must have the right information and informed consent before taking that vaccine, I was right. And I believe that in these contracts and documents, they have all that. Maybe in the documents that our government signed, maybe the big pharma is saying, we did some tests, and maybe the vaccine is not so good for young boy, and it can be dangerous for heart attack or things like that. Maybe they knew it, and that's in the contract, and that's why if that contract is public, they were lying to us.
Yeah.
They were lying to us because
and the government was complicit and aware.
Complicit, and the media and the big pharma. The government, the media, and the big pharma, they were all together. And maybe that's why they don't want us to see the contract, because in the contract, they're going to say, this vaccine is experimental, first. Second, if you take the vaccine, you may have some risk. And
or maybe it doesn't stop transmission. It doesn't stop the spread.
That's it. Maybe another thing doesn't stop the spread. But at that time, they were telling us that you take the vaccine and you'll be safe, it's effective, and you won't be able to catch COVID, and you won't be able to spread COVID. And we know now that it was not true. And so maybe in that, they're saying also, I need that protection, because the protection that this government and all Western governments gave to the big pharma is nobody will be able to sue you for your products. That's not a free market. Yeah. In a free market, if you do something and sell something to your clients, you have a responsibility, and people can sue you because your product is not what you told them that it must be. Yeah. So maybe in this contract, like you just said, they are saying, it's the best products, but it won't stop the transmission. And they were telling us the opposite.
Yeah, stop the spread, protect grandma.
Yeah, protect grandma. You're a selfish if you don't take the vaccine. Yeah. They said that. I'm a selfish because I decided not to take the vaccine, because supposedly I was, a big danger for grandmom and granddad, and I was not able to sit in a plane with a vaccinated person because I may have COVID and I may spread that COVID. But so maybe in this contract, we knew that we will be able to know that all that was not based on real science, and they were lying to us to push that vaccine out the doors as soon as possible. Like Poliev said. Yeah. Poliev said to Trudeau during COVID-19, "You're not efficient, you're not good. Canadians must have the vaccine as soon as possible."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need shots in arms like they need guns in World War II.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. The thing I find most disturbing about that clip, though, is that he's falling over himself to justify and defend the pharmaceutical producers.
Yeah.
That it's the role of our elected officials to act on the interest of Canadians, to sit at these tables and say, no, that's not good enough. Our people might not be safe. And that's the opposite of what he's saying. No. They needed more liability. Yeah. We made them rush. Yeah. So we can't hold them accountable for what this might do to people. Like, it's so backwards. He sounds like a vaccine salesperson instead of an elected member of our parliament.
Not only him, our media also. Our media were selling the vaccine to everybody, and it was all about take the vaccine. So everybody, it's like everybody during the COVID hysteria. That's why I call it COVID hysteria. Everybody was pushing the vaccine. Yeah. The MPs, the government, the big pharma, the media, and now we just want to know the truth by having this contract public. Yeah. And no, we cannot.
And there was no rush. They created the rush by pushing propaganda on people, driving them to this hysteria, as you just pointed out, when there's other solutions, right? First of all, it's not that deadly. It's not that. Yeah. It's not worth being concerned
And we knew that
in
the beginning.
Had other treatments, as you always. Yeah. We had things that were well tested, that had credibility, that they worked to discredit. The hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin.
They censor the doctors that were saying that.
They say it's a horse dewormer and all this stuff. Yeah. When it's been used to treat malaria and other similar viral infections in other countries for decades. Yeah. There's credibility behind these things, and no, they hid them so they could push vaccines, these experimental vaccines on the public. Yeah. And then they say, "Oh, we were pressured by the public."
Yeah.
It's Absolutely unbelievable.
And they used the fact that it was approved by the FDA, and here in Canada by our agency, it was approved, so it must be safe. But they didn't say to Canadians that it was approved under emergencies. That was an emergency. So that was all lie during that time, and now the last one is this one. So a member of parliament who is working for Big Pharma and doesn't want Canadians to know all the story about that.
It's unbelievable.
And maybe it's more than $5 billion. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe the average for a vaccine.
That was the other thing that
yeah.
we didn't even get into. The average cost, according to the Auditor General for vaccines in Canada, was $30 per dose, when in other countries it was less than half the amount that they were purchasing them for. So our government signed these absurdly bad deals, no liability, marked up
no
projects,
transparency,
and now they're defending themselves and blaming the public. Even it's just, it's disgusting, to be frank.
Yeah, it is.